No beginning and no end. The unwinding path, symbolized by a Celtic swirl, similar to those carved in stone by our ancestors some 5,000 years ago, and still evident today in the magnificent Neolithic structures that litter our beautiful countryside. The unwinding path that we are to this day travelling upon, a never-ending journey into the unknown future. Saint Patrick. In the 5th century AD, Patrick, then aged 16, was abducted from his native Wales by Irish marauders and sold into slavery in Ireland, in the region now known as County Antrim. For 6 years, Patrick worked as a herdsman before escaping and returning to his family home. On becoming a bishop, he returned to Ireland, helping to establish a haven of learning, culture, and Christianity leading to modern-day Catholicism. It's believed that Patrick practiced his faith from 428 AD until his death on the 17th of March, 461 AD, a date now celebrated throughout the world as St. Patrick's Day. Round Towers. The medieval round towers of Ireland were built between the 9th and 12th centuries and have puzzled historians ever since. Most likely intended as bell towers, they also served as places of refuge for the religious community and their precious relics during times of invasion and persecution. The towers, standing up to 130 feet high, are an enduring image of the Christian faith in Ireland and a testament to the ingenuity of their creators. It's thought that there were once about 120 of these imposing structures, but unfortunately most now lie in ruins, with less than 20 surviving intact. The Vikings. At the end of the 8th century, Ireland was a rural nation, with the Christian monasteries at the heart of its communities. Over the next 2 centuries, this society was torn asunder by waves of Viking raiders who pillaged its monasteries and towns. Viking raids were at first small and intermittent, but over the following decades they grew in size to become small armies, gradually progressing further inland. An attempt to gain control of the whole country was defeated by Brian Boru at the Battle of Clontarf in 1014. The Vikings retained the permanent settlements they had established, notably Waterford, Cork, Dublin, Wexford and Limerick, irrevocably changing the landscape and society of Gaelic Ireland. Norman invasion. Dermot MacMurrough, the exiled King of Leinster, initiated the Norman invasion of Ireland by requesting Henry II's assistance in regaining his throne. In 1169, MacMurrough and the Norman forces landed at Waterford and were soon victorious. MacMurrough secured his position by naming his son-in-law and loyal Norman knight, Strongbow, as his heir. Henry, now fearing this rival Norman state may threaten his English throne, led his troops into Ireland in 1171, forcing the Irish kings to submit to his authority. In 1185, Henry's youngest son John was awarded the Irish territories and the title Lord of Ireland. The Battle of the Boyne. In 1688, the English Parliament invited Protestant King William of the Dutch House of Orange to depose Catholic King James II as monarch of England and Scotland. As a result, the Battle of the Boyne was fought in 1690 between James and his son-in-law William, with 3 issues at stake at the battle: the throne of England, French dominance of Europe, and power in Ireland. Both kings commanded their armies in person. William had around 36,000 men, and James had 25,000, the largest number of troops ever deployed on an Irish battlefield. William's army, known as Williamites, was made up of English, Scottish, Dutch, Danes, and French Huguenots, while James' men, known as Jacobites, were mainly Irish Catholics, dispossessed gentry, and peasants pressed into service, reinforced by 6,500 French troops sent by King Louis XIV. The fighting took place on the south side of the River Boyne as the vastly outnumbered Jacobites defended their position, ultimately being forced to retreat. James set sail for France, never to set foot in Ireland or England again. William triumphantly marched into Dublin 2 days after the battle, where he commemorated his victory in St. Patrick's Cathedral. The United Irishmen. On October 14, 1791, a group of Belfast Presbyterians met with Theobald Wolfe Tone and Thomas Russell to found the United Irishmen. The goal was to separate religion from politics, as Wolfe Tone was convinced that religious division was a tool of the elite to balance the one party by the other, plunder and laugh at the defeat of both. Inspired by the American and French revolutions of the late 18th century, the United Irishmen resolved to work together with the Catholic majority to gain social democratic reforms and independence from England. By 1797, the society had at least 100,000 members throughout Ireland, but despite this strength, the leadership did not have the confidence to rebel without the aid of French troops. The spread of the society was watched with alarm by the authorities, and it was banned in 1793, following the declaration of war by France on Britain. The opposition of the Catholic Church in Ireland and foundation of the Orange Order caused further problems for the United Irishmen. In December 1797, a fleet of French vessels accompanied by Theobald Wolfe Tone was prevented from landing in Ireland due to poor weather conditions and poor decision-making on the part of the leadership. On 23 May 1798, the rebellion began without French support and was followed by 3 months of sustained and bloody violence. The rising ultimately failed, and by 1803, the Society of United Irishmen was no more. The tricolor. Ireland's national flag is the distinctive tricolor of green, white and orange. History suggests that the green represents Ireland's older Gaelic tradition and community, whilst the orange represents the Protestant supporters of William of Orange and his victory in the Battle of the Boyne. The hope of peace between these two cultures is symbolised by the central band of white. The Irish flag is therefore an emblem of inclusion and union of all Ireland's people, regardless of their religious or political beliefs. The Great Famine. 19th century Ireland was no stranger to hunger, but between the years 1845 to 1852, the country saw mass starvation on a scale never witnessed before. It is estimated that in Ireland during the Great Famine, approximately 1 million people died, and over 1 million more emigrated. Such widespread hunger was the result of the total dependence of 1/3 of the population on the potato for food. Prevented by law from owning land, Irish Catholics lived almost exclusively on a diet of potatoes, land being scarce and potatoes easily grown. Then the potato blight struck, and by 1846 the potato supply was non-existent. While the British government set up soup kitchens and workhouses to relieve the stress of the disaster, they drastically underestimated the problems they were facing, and much of the relief failed to reach its intended victims. The majority were completely oblivious to the Irish plight. Throughout this period, Ireland continued to export food whilst its people starved. Famine ships. During the Great Famine, many Irish people were left with a stark choice: emigrate or die. In 1 year alone, 250,000 Irish people fled their homeland in the hope of a better life. Sadly for many, the dream of a new life turned to a horrible nightmare, as hundreds died on overcrowded, filthy, disease-ridden ships. Whilst crossing the Atlantic, it was common for around 30% of a so-called coffin ship's passengers to die. The mass emigration triggered by the famine was the first step in the global phenomenon whereby a vast number of people of many nationalities worldwide can trace their heritage back to the small island of Ireland. The GPO. The Easter Rising of 1916 was organised by the Irish Republican Brotherhood, with the aim to end British rule in Ireland and to form an Irish Republic. On 24th of April, key buildings in Dublin were seized, with the GPO, or General Post Office, chosen as the headquarters of the military operation. It was here that James Connolly raised the Irish tricolour and read the Proclamation of the Republic. British forces set about bombarding the rebel strongholds. After days of relentless shelling, the Republican Military Council was finally forced from their headquarters when the GPO caught fire. On Saturday, 29th of April, the Irish Republican order to surrender was given. The subsequent execution of the leaders of the rising provoked great anger, triggering the War of Independence and eventually giving birth to the modern Irish state. Partition. The Government of Ireland Act, 1920, partitioned Ireland into two separate Home Rule institutions, one for Northern Ireland and one for the remainder of the island. However, the Home Rule Parliament in Southern Ireland failed to function. A truce in the War of Independence was declared in July 1921, resulting in the Anglo-Irish Treaty. On 6 December 1922, this treaty established Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland as independent, self-governing states. The following day, however, Northern Ireland's Parliament opted to remain as part of the United Kingdom. In 1948, the Irish Free State became the Republic of Ireland. The partition of the 6 counties of Northern Ireland and the 26 counties of the Irish Republic resulted in many years of turmoil between North and South, between those Irish who wanted a united Ireland and Unionists who wished to stay loyal to the United Kingdom. The 1998 peace agreement was ratified by 2 referendums in both parts of Ireland, including an acceptance by the Republic that its claim to Northern Ireland would only be achieved by persuasion and peaceful means. Today, the geographical split remains, but relations between North and South are mercifully peaceful.